Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to talk about Jonathan Joly for just a few minutes, so if you're interested, please keep watching. All right, you guys, so if you're not familiar with who Jonathan Joly is, he is one half of the parents who manage the channel, the Sakone Jolys, and I have heard their last name pronounced 4 or 5 different ways, so I apologize if I'm not saying the version that you're most familiar with. I really do apologize, but I've heard it so many different ways. We're not really going to focus on Anna too much in this video. I want to focus more on Jonathan because, in my opinion, he is the driving force behind the recent channel changes and updates that were announced on his social media. I don't really think that she has a lot to do with this, so I will reference her a little bit during this video, but just know that as far as the terrible decisions that are being made, I do think that the accountability falls on his plate and not so much hers, even though I am very aware that she is half of the channel. I do think that he is the one actually making these decisions, and she has sort of decided to take a back seat, whether that is for her own mental health, whether that's so that she is, can focus on being a good mom to her kids. I don't know what her deciding factor was, but it does seem like she is kind of letting him take the reins on this. Therefore, when I talk about accountability and who should be actually making changes to make this better and undo what's been, pretty much done already, I'm referring to Jonathan and not Anna. So I wanted to make that very clear. If you did not see my first video on this family about 7 months ago, please go watch it. I will link it in my description box for you guys. But I still stand by my opinions in the video that I made. Yesterday, I saw on Instagram that Jonathan put up this story and pretty much announced that he would be coming back to YouTube and there's going to be some changes. The changes that he announced, I personally believe, are going to be detrimental to his children, as well as to Anna. But I'm really focused on his kids because they are the ones that are way too young to even understand what's going on with this situation. And therefore, I think that the long-term effects are definitely going to sit with them instead of the adults in this situation. The Instagram story that I was referring to, I'm going to go through it with you guys now. He started it off by saying, over a year ago, I stopped being in our YouTube videos, and then shortly after, we stopped completely. Now, that's not really true because he was in their YouTube videos up until about 7-8 months ago, so that's not true at all. It goes on to say, I knew I had to go on an adventure, but couldn't do it while also being on YouTube. Finding yourself takes time and mistakes are made, so I needed to do this alone. That sentence really makes no sense coming from him because here's the thing. If he is going through some sort of crisis or situation that he needs to deal with on his own, I look forward to where he announces that they will be sharing their son Eduardo's journey on their YouTube channel. So if you needed to go through it alone, why are you going to put your son on a public stage where millions of people are going to be sharing their opinions about what he's dressing like, what he looks like, what he sounds like, what he talks like, the toys he's playing with, the toys he's not playing with, the music that he's listening to? Why would you put your son in that position if you said right here you needed to deal with your own situation alone? Jonathan has come out as a non-binary person, and if that's his journey, that's his journey. However, when I think about Eduardo, I do not believe that it belongs on YouTube. No matter if Eduardo is just going through a chapter where he likes to wear girls' clothes. I don't even really like this whole girls' clothes, boys' clothes thing. Just clothes are clothes. Like, to me, it really doesn't matter. So whether he's just going through a few seasons of wanting to wear different clothing, if he's going through a season where he likes to play with makeup, this could all be temporary. Why is it being turned into content? That is always what I go back to. These family vloggers, as the fame and fortune increases, they get more and more hungry for what can we do next? How can we make this content? How can we clickbait this? How can this be turned into a vlog? The problem with this family is they hit that high note. They hit the high threshold for YouTube and got the fame and fortune. Then their channel plateaued and started going downhill. What they're trying to do is have a revival, but they're doing it at their son's expense. And that is the most despicable, deplorable, disgusting way that you can make yourselves relevant again online. So shame on both of them for allowing this to happen, but specifically shame on Jonathan for orchestrating the whole damn thing. His post goes on to say Amelia and Eduardo also needed time too. Anna is and has always been perfect. Well, let's talk about you deciding that now is an okay time to put your kids back on YouTube, especially your son. You don't know that your kids are ready to be put back on your channel. And you damn sure don't know if he is going to be okay with all of this being all over YouTube as he gets older. Because what if it is a short-term thing? And some people could say, well, what if it's not? Okay, what if it's not? It still doesn't belong on YouTube so that these two can get filthy rich off of their revival. He finishes this one by saying, I'm happy to report that I think it's time to come back. He thinks that since he's ready, his kids are also ready, and he can just take this show by the horns and do whatever the fuck he feels like doing. The next post says, there will be some changes though. Before, it was led by myself and Anna, whereas now these two have their own voices, so they will also be driving in the seat with us. And it has a photo of his two children. I will be blurring their faces, but I will show it for reference. He goes on to say, I think our family is a modern, progressive, and diverse representation of life today. And it's that very diversity that pushed me off the platform. But now I feel supported by you and ready to start sharing our lives again. I don't know how diversity could push you off of YouTube. I think that that's a little silly. You know, they were getting a ton of support. Jonathan was getting support. The problem was that he was using his son as a way to gain more popularity. He was using his son as a means to an end so that they could continue to make money on this platform and stay relevant. That is the problem. Nobody cares, you know, Jonathan, if he's non-binary or whatever, like, that's wonderful. Do you? You're an adult and you can make those decisions for yourself. People were upset that Eduardo was being used as a pawn in his game. He goes on to say, I'm sorry it took me this long to figure me out, and I still find it hard to say my truth aloud. I wanted to take my time and go on the adventure with an open mind to accept whatever I found out, so I started with no label. But now I know I am a non-binary person and I have a transgender daughter and I've never been happier. And this is the thing that bothers me. I, along with many other people, see a problem with this being announced at such a young age because Eduardo doesn't understand. Eduardo doesn't understand YouTube, the internet, social media, vlogs, all the comments that come through. He is far too young to, you know, it's enough to go through this as a child. But to have it put on a public stage where all the critics around the world are giving their very harsh, gross, critical opinions about this child, and you are subjecting him to that if you are putting this content out. What many people have said all along is just give Eduardo the time, space, and privacy that he needs. And once he gets older and he's ready to announce that and make a decision, then that's his story to tell. It is not Jonathan's story to exploit, force, and publicize for his financial gain. He goes on to say, for those asking, the channel will be public. I did the member thing because I was trying to see if I could go on my own journey while also giving people the videos. The answer was I couldn't. So join the member thing or keep your membership if you want to support the channel. Totally up to you. Either way, all the videos will be public. And it's so cringeworthy because he's also using pictures of Eduardo in, what would be considered girls' clothing as part of his Instagram story. It's just like the whole thing makes me sick. It feels so icky and gross. And my heart crumbles for Eduardo that his parents are doing nothing to help him. This is not parents being in the child's corner. This is parents exploiting this young child who's going through something where we don't even know if it's going to be permanent. And even if it is, again, I go back to the fact that it is not their story to tell. His last post says, making mistakes is all part of parenting. So this is us making good on our mistake. I'll upload after my run where I will try to talk myself out of it uploading. Best of luck to all. I think that mistakes are definitely part of parenting. Mistakes are part of life in general, whether or not you're a parent. But as I've said in other videos, I consider a mistake something that wasn't intentional. I would say exploiting your son for your own, clout is in fact very intentional. So why don't you make good on that mistake and protect Eduardo? Protect this chapter of his life by not putting it out on public display and help guide him through these next couple years of his life. I really hope that this entire family is in therapy, and I feel like being offline would have been the better decision. That's just my personal opinion. And if they were going to come back to YouTube, then for the love of God, protect your children. None of this belongs on YouTube. I think the overall feeling I get with this is just the reason that I feel so icky is just that it's being so pushed upon Eduardo. If it wasn't being so orchestrated by Jonathan and it wasn't so obvious, I get it. Like, I am here for everyone, guys. Like, this. I am here for whatever your journey is. As long as you're not hurting anyone along the way, then I am here for all of it. It is just so obvious to me that Jonathan is holding the reins. And to me, he is acting like a puppeteer and Eduardo is his puppet. He is putting this puppet out onto a public stage so that they can be the family that's different. They can create a bunch of content around Eduardo because they see him as being different. And none of it seems authentic. None of it seems like Eduardo is a participating person in this family. It feels like a sick attempt at a revival on the family vlogging sphere, and it makes me sick to my stomach. None of this belongs on a public stage for consumption. I want to read, they posted that video, and I'm not going to watch it because I already watched it once, and there's not a lot to take away from it, but I want to read some of the comments. Someone said, He's just a kid. He may grow up and resent you for doing this, and you can't undo this, especially when it's on camera. And you know, they know this. They know this. So for them to be well versed in what YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all this internet stuff is all about, and to still put this sweet child out there, it is nauseating. That's the only way that I can describe this. It is so, so gross. One thing that they did say in this video is Anna mentioned how Eduardo's been doing this, you know, dressing in girls' clothing for a very long time. And while I understand that, to me, a long time is not just a couple of years of someone's childhood. You know, this is still a child that we're talking about. We're not talking about someone who is 17 years old and a long time is 6 years. Eduardo is still a very young child, and in my opinion, hasn't had the opportunity to really figure out what they want to do, because things are being so, in my opinion, allegedly, things are being very choreographed behind the scenes by Jonathan. Okay, so this is a little bit of a long comment, but it really resonates. Someone said, I genuinely feel so sick from watching this. There's nothing okay with this. You just took Eduardo's choice about when, where, and how she wants to come out away from her. You told the world she was trans before she even had begun any formal transition activities. You stole the opportunity from her to make sure she was safe, secure, and comfortable before telling the world who she was. What if she wanted to tell her friends one by one first, her teachers, cousins, family? You just took the story and told everyone. It's online forever now. She will never get to choose when and how she tells a new person in her life she is trans. She will never get the chance to decide not to tell someone she's trans, especially if she doesn't feel safe. You have stripped her of this fundamental right, and you have put her in danger. There is nothing okay about this. I hope people start talking about how awful this is. A lot of people in the comments want to hear what Anna has to say. I do feel like she's holding back, but I don't really think that we're going to get a fully transparent side of her story. I just don't see it being fully transparent. I do think that she'll talk about this, but I think she's holding a lot back, and I'll leave it at that because I don't want to speculate too much. This is all fine to let Eduardo be who she wants to be, but why plaster it all over the internet? Making money. He's not old enough to make that decision. Very sad. Someone said, I would like to say that our sexual personality orientation starts at 14 years old. That's it. He is too young to know what gender he belongs to. And that's why I feel like this is all for clicks and views, and it's so sad because the child is just too young. That's my opinion. The child is too young to come out and say, this is what I am, this is what I want, you know, and I'm all for, like, have supportive parents, like, hands down, like, that's no doubt. But as far as putting out this type of content and making it such a permanent display of this is who our child is, your child doesn't even know who your child is because Eduardo is still a child. So allow the child to figure it out, have fun, be surrounded by love, and address this down the road. A lot of people in the comments were saying how uncomfortable Anna looks. She looks very quiet and reserved, and I would agree with that too. She looks shocked, uncomfortable. Eduardo is only 7. She is exploring her identity, but I don't think that you should be labeling as her just yet. It would put a lot of pressure to stay a girl if she decided she wanted to be more masculine. Anna's eyes say so much more. I feel bad for her and the children. I see Anna eventually leaving Jonathan. Anna looks sad and confused. I think that there's a lot that she's not saying, But I don't want to bore you guys with just like reading comments. I'll link their video down below, as well as the first video that I did on this topic a few months ago. But I will close out the video by saying that I fully support whatever adventures Eduardo will go on, present and in the future. But I will always stand on the side that it should not equate to vlog content for Jonathan. Why does all of this have to be put out on such a public display? The only thing that it comes down to is attention and money. They are a dying family vlogging channel, and they are trying to utilize something that is different from any other family vloggers on YouTube, so that they can remain relevant. And that is my personal opinion. Nobody else has to agree with me. But unfortunately, whether you agree or disagree, neither of those things are going to change the fact that this child is being put out onto a public display for public consumption, and all of the bullying and harassment that comes along with it. And for that reason alone, my heart crumbles for Eduardo. So like I said, I hope the whole family is in therapy, and someone desperately needs to get Jonathan Joly under control. And I don't know who that is. But man, if I was Anna, I would be putting my foot down and saying, listen, you're not doing this to our child. And if you hate me for that, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I, as always, am very interested to see what you guys have to say about this. So anyway, before I blabber, for now, if you like the video, please leave a like and a comment. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.